Make no mistake about it. The ethno-state Palestinian conflict is not about religion. It's about Europe versus Islam. It's about whites versus non-whites. It's a racial issue. Always has been. They don't see them. It doesn't matter if Syrians and Palestinians are actually white. Syrians and the Palestinians have opposed the balkanization of both Palestine and Syria since the beginning of the 19th century. Excuse me, the 20th century. They've always opposed it. The reason why the apartheid ethno-state attacks Palestinians is because they aren't white. And that's why America supports them, because they're white. It's the only reason they support them. That's why they always say they are just like us. That's why they say that. And I'm going to keep saying this no matter how many times they flag these videos and take them down. Because I'm telling the goddamn truth. And they don't want to hear it. Because then it goes against the BS narrative they've been painting for decades. When it comes to these horseshit victories in America, Jim Crow Joe Biden winning doesn't help blacks. The Democrats haven't done a damn thing for blacks. There's no reason to vote if the politician doesn't do anything for his constituents. It's a waste of time, and it sets a bad precedent, letting them know they can do whatever the hell they want because they've already got your vote, meaning your vote is completely worthless. Number two, civil disobedience. Peaceful disobedience doesn't do shit. Picket signs, leaflet campaigns, t-shirts, all that crap does absolutely nothing. All those dumbass BLM marches got fuck all accomplished. Cops are still killing innocent people and getting away with it. The NYPD is still out here running prostitution rings, running guns, raping girls in vans, doing what they want. And so are other police stations around the country. In Chicago, for example, they still got secret prisons where they take blacks and beat the shit out of them. It did nothing. It's all symbolic. And so then out of anger, they lash out and go tear up stores instead of attacking who they need to attack. But I can't point that out because it's hate speech. Conservatives are just dick suckers of the white supremacist oligarchs. That's why when I started saying white supremacist oligarch, they came on here flagging and crying and bitching. You talk about using the Second Amendment right for what they pretend that the Second Amendment right is supposed to be about, they flag me for inciting terrorism. But then whenever somebody brings up gun rights, they always talk about it's to stop a tyrannical government. But as soon as the tyrannical government gets tyrannical, which it's been tyrannical for fucking decades, as soon as it gets tyrannical and somebody talks about a lot of Americans getting armed and doing what they're supposed to do against that tyrannical government, oh, it's terrorism. Because terrorism is just inconvenience of the white supremacist oligarchs. That's all it is. That's all terrorism is. If you blow up a building full of black people, oh, that's so sad. We're going to light some candles. If you blow up something in the interest of the white supremacist oligarchs, it's war, and you need to put your children's lives on the line to fight in that war. Or we're going to flood your neighborhood with opium and Ritalin and meth and heroin and anything else. Well, we're going to do that anyway, so just go to war. That's the best way out of the ghetto. It's the best way out of the trailer park. But all this stuff is terrorism, it's hate speech. Then you got that VidCo 96, VidCo 91. VidCo 91 was bullshit from the beginning. I've already said it. They were working with China. I gave the links. They're all clicked in. The lab was connected to the military. They're all connected. There was a lab in Canada. There was a lab in North Carolina. They've been studying and mutating these viruses for decades and releasing them into society. And all it did was open up new markets for the white supremacist oligarchs and gave big blank checks to corporations to test out things that they wanted to test out and roll out bullshit to take away people's rights. Track people and funnel money into their own pockets and the pockets of their paymasters. It's a fact. And they've also used it to distract people while they ramp up more wars that they knew people would oppose because they used the tax money to do that. When it comes to raising the debt ceiling, that's also bullshit. Giving people $1,100 a month or $900 or $500, whatever, who gives a shit. None of that shit makes a difference to the national debt. There is no national debt. That shit is fiction. That shit's not real. They can pull money out of their ass for any amount they want, however many times they want, because the dollar is backed by guns. The dollar's backed by I'm white and I say so. So they can do whatever the fuck they want. The main people they owe are themselves. And no government on earth has ever paid off its national debt unless they've owed it to someone else. Like when after World War II, America took advantage of the Empire of Britain as an opportunity to cash them out so that they'd go bankrupt, and then that's when all those other smaller countries they have, same thing, started breaking off and fighting back, and they didn't have the money to support leeching off those places anymore. So yeah, that's all bullshit. And this isn't hate speech, this isn't inciting terrorism, it's the truth. If you want to beat these kind of people, you got to use the same tactics that they'll use on you. Or you'll keep repeating the same things. And in terms of the cut the check shit, cut the fucking crap. These people aren't going to give you shit. The closest black people to getting reparations were the Haitians. And we all saw what happened there. I talked about that and they deleted the video for hate speech. Because I said as soon as Haiti get them reparations from France, as soon as they got those $22 billion from France, all the other white nations would have to pay up. Spain would have to pay up, England would have to pay up, and the United States would have to pay up. And they don't want to go there, so any black person who even thinks about trying to get reparations is going to pay the price. And that's what happened. Everybody that's fought for reparations has either mysteriously died, gotten couped, or assassinated from Sankara on down. The rule is don't give the blacks a damn thing but bullshit. Like recognizing Juneteenth. Like who the fuck needs white approval? Federal government, which is code for white approval for fucking Juneteenth. Been celebrating Juneteenth since I was like fucking 5. I don't need the whites to verify or validate that shit. What's that gonna do for anybody? Nothing. It's gonna do nothing. It's like Martin Luther Clown Day does nothing. None of that does shit. They haven't done a goddamn thing for you. Voting is not an option. Civil disobedience is not a fucking option. It's not real. You can't vote with your dollar anymore because you don't have the capital and you don't have the autonomy to effectively change anything because they can just cut off the money supply, aka your jobs. Ronald the retard Reagan was doing that shit in the 80s. What did he do? He sent all your money via your jobs to Bangladesh, to China, to Vietnam, to Pakistan, to Haiti. He sent all your manufacturing jobs everywhere else but here because you don't have any power. Everything you have power wise in terms of using the system to your advantage is absolutely and quantifiably fictitious. It's not fucking real. And I keep having to say this stuff over and over and over. It's all about controlling you. It's nothing but controlling you with lies, with weapons, with chemicals, subliminals. And what they do is they brainwash, they figure out how the youth think, they figure out how the population thinks when it shifts, and they find a way to capitalize on that, to brainwash you even more. They took the woke shit and turned it into some Democrat gay shit. Just like when they took the Tea Party shit, which was originally about the 9/11 Commission being complete bullshit and looking into that situation, and they turned that into some left versus right crap. Like I said, they destroyed Occupy Wall Street by turning it into some Democrat shit instead of it being what it originally was, which was attacking the white supremacist oligarchs via their financial structure directly. Now, the closest they've done to restarting Occupy Wall Street was the Wall Street's bet stuff. And of course, our main wedge got really pissed about that. Screw this is a paid campaign, but he's always talked nonsense, so I don't give a shit about that. There are, of course, bad actors in every movement, but it's originally comes from the Occupy Wall Street people. It was their idea to go after these hedge funds by pumping up stocks so much that they can't make any money and they'll eventually have to pay off everything. So they bought up all the shares of the main shorted stocks, Nokia, AMC, Hertz, and GME. And they're pumping those stocks up. And these guys keep having to cover. They're using crypto to cover. They're using all kinds of shit to manipulate the stocks to cover their ass, because as soon as shit goes parabolic, they're all going to go down and they're going to be in debt. And then the government's going to pull money out of their ass to bail them out. When it comes to Saudi Arabia, I've already talked about these assholes. Congress sent their little stupid ass ADL group and the tourist commission of Saudi Arabia to pull down my vid for calling them out on the bullshit. See, here's the deal with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is going broke. Saudi Arabia is going broke despite having all that oil. Listening to America, because Saudi Arabia had America by the balls for the longest. So they put Bandir, the ball smoker, in power. Took out Abdullah, who's also a piece of trash and a dictator who murders his own people. But we can't talk about that because that's hate speech. He also funds the fictitious group known as ISIS, aka random mercenaries from around the Middle East and Mexico and Latin America, thanks to the French Foreign Legion, to go in there and kill innocent people, especially Christians and Shia, in places like Syria. These guys are going broke. And every time they use their tactic of pumping out tons and tons of abiotic oil to undercut places like Venezuela and Iran, it's cost them huge, huge losses. So they've tried to diversify their economy to save their asses and maintain their hedge over America. And America needs these guys to stay in this bullshit ass position because it's beneficial to them as well. I've talked about this kind of stuff in my Saudi video. It's still up even though it's shadow banned. I talked about it in my pipeline video. So yeah, all these guys are fuckers and everything they're saying is BS. And I'm gonna drop part 2 of the Cold War China vid And that's all I got to say about that, bitch.